This weekend starts an experiment and a change for the desk. I've had the Mac Mini M1 for almost the entire year now. I purchased it when we moved so I could use it for streaming stuff in my setup, and I never really covered it. I never did anything with it. I never used it because I never had a reason to try, a reason to mess with it. And so we're going to experiment with switching mostly full time to using the M1 Mac Mini with a KVM swapping at my main desk setup, aside from the bulk of my editing, because the issue is a couple things. First and foremost, it's a Mac Mini, so it doesn't have a PCIe slot, so all of my cameras and stuff that I capture with don't run into it. Secondly being, it's still an M1 Mac Mini, and DaVinci Resolve for most of my work does not perform the same on the M1 as it does my Threadripper and Titan RTX and all of that. That's just not how physics works. So we're gonna see how it goes, but my goal is to literally just switch back and forth with a KVM at my main setup. And I think to do that, we're actually gonna make some bigger changes. So first and foremost, because it's been in this corner on this glorious ultrawide, but since it's in the corner and the way my brain works, it's basically out of sight, out of mind. Like I have no reason to use it. We're moving that over, and we're moving the ultrawide into the place of my two 4K monitors. And then we're going to have to set up my old Soundcraft mixer to get all my audio routing and stuff. So this is going to be quite the adventure. I don't think it's going to work out as I like, and probably just be a waste of time. But theoretically, this is the start of me trying to use macOS as a daily driver for the first time ever, pretty much. Well, as is always the case with these things, we ran into a snag. So we got the Ultrawide installed, and I think I'm gonna like it. We'll touch more as this series continues. I think I'm gonna enjoy going back to the Ultrawide. If you saw my last video about it, which was a few years ago, I ran into some issues with regards to being a content creator and having issues screen capturing the Ultrawide and cropping it down for videos, and the lower resolution actually looking worse on video because of the DPI scaling and things like that. All that will still apply, but I do kind of rely a little less on screen capture these days, and I think I can make it work, especially with fancy zones. Like I feel like I can get to a point where it works. But like if I sit down at the desk here, I think the positioning is actually really nice. I'll get to move this camera angle over a little bit. I had to take down the big teleprompter because it was supported on the old monitor mount, but I could theoretically just use the desk view one if I wanted to get the teleprompter angle back up, which I will probably need. But then this microphone arm is just kind of awkwardly sitting here now, and so I may need to get me another Elgato LP arm, because this is just kind of an awkward setup. That being said, if I get the Elgato arm with my speaker here, doesn't really have anywhere to go. Also, my speaker was kind of thrown off by that monitor mount's base, and so I'm not sure what to do about that just yet, because I do want those USB ports. The problem I ran into is I was going to use the Level 1 Text KVM to switch between the Mac and the Windows PC and switch my mouse and keyboard on all of that. I still need it over here for my test rigs and stuff. Like I 100% still need it, and frankly I need a quad input one rather than the 2 input one. This is 2 in 4 out instead of 4 in 2 out, and I was hoping to trade window back for it at some point and get the right one. I still need that over there, so I can't use that over here, which means I can just use USB-C Thunderbolt to connect the Mac to the display and then DisplayPort for the normal PC, but I don't have a way to KVM the mouse and keyboard right now, and so I'm trying to figure out options in my head. I used to have a KVM like a super basic USB and VGA one, but I'm fairly certain I ditched it in the move, and so I'll probably have to order another one. This is why I don't get rid of things usually, in order to really switch the mouse and keyboard. And then there's just a couple weird little things to work out beyond that, but like, I think this could work. The only other issue will of course be, again, I'll have to switch back to Windows every time I want to shoot videos, so that will be one of those weird limiting factors that maybe I just end up not booting the Mac after a while. So we'll see. Still making progress here, but slower than I expected, but I think it's gonna work. So here's just the final little peek at the moment before we wrap up this episode at how the desk is looking. Of course, we got the Ultrawide up here, Stream Deck mounted here. I'm actually using a Impact Super Clamp and one of these Manfrotto friction arms as my own Elgato Wave LP alternative, and it works perfectly, especially for this Icon Pro mic, which sits out of frame. So that works perfectly. I actually have a better view of my pin board, which you may not have even seen at the desk because my monitor was blocking it. Ultrawide's working out great, camera angle is working out great, and below it we have the PreSonus, my card reader, and then the USB switcher to go back and forth between PCs, as well as the Elgato Thunderbolt Pro dock and the Mac Mini. And then I just have the Mac connected via Thunderbolt to the display and my main PC via DisplayPort, and just switch on the monitor and then switch to USB, and it's good to go. Another Stream Deck mounted on a basic Magic friction arm to the monitor mount. So this has actually been working out pretty good in terms of ergonomics. Like I'm actually a lot happier with how this looks overall. But we got to talk about the Mac next time.